Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. Welcome to the 22nd day of my 30 watches in 30 days challenge. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you are familiar with the watch that we're looking at tonight. It is my little vintage Movado Museum. So let's flip the camera around and take a look at this watch. Here is the little Movado Rockstar. This watch gets a ton of wrist time. Look at how thin that is. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, my first encounter with the Movado Museum was a modern 38mm, and it looked really large because it had the cylindrical case. So I started searching for 36mm ones just to see if there was anything out there. And this was the style that came up. I would love to get a silver dial variant of this, but so far, the only ones that I've seen have a weird integrated bracelet. That just doesn't look very cool. Sadly, I don't think they did silver dials with standard lugs. If I ever find one, I'm totally gonna go for it. And this watch actually has a sapphire crystal because I paid to have one put on it. The original mineral crystal was pretty well scratched up, and I wasn't able to buff those out at all. So I opted for sapphire, and the price wasn't too bad, so now this thing is actually quite a tank. Being quartz and with that sapphire crystal, it's tough like a sports watch, but dressy and artsy. I've recently looked at pictures of mid-century Movado museums, and they're absolutely amazing looking. They have stick hands, they're much more Bauhausy than this, and they are all crystal. I think I have a search out for a vintage Movado museum, and if I ever encounter a listing for one of those, I'm absolutely gonna go for it. I have this on a genuine lizard strap, and this was actually my first encounter with genuine lizard. It's really cool. It's not super shiny, which is nice. And lizard just looks really good on the Movado Museum. The case is nice and curved, and there's even crown guards there. The dial is in excellent shape. Before I changed the crystal, it was tough to tell. I think the crystal was a little bit cloudy. It looked like the dial was fading, but you can see now that is not the case. These museums from, I believe, the 1980s don't have the pitch black mirrored dial that the contemporary ones do. We have kind of a sunburst in there. And when you have a crystal that's kind of roughed up, that texture on the dial kind of makes it look kind of dirty. It's tough to tell if it's the crystal or the dial, but now that we can see it clearly, it looks nice and black again. We'll get a close-up of it. You can see there is a little bit of reflection around the jewel part there. Not really a jewel, not sure what you'd call that, but the metal pip up there. And it's cool how mirrored that is. And look at these Delphine hands. Those are so great. There's a little bit of detail to them, so they're not just plain. And we have Swiss Movado quartz there. You can see the bezel has some little hairline scratches on there. So at some point I'll have to take a Cape Cod cloth to it, get it all nice and mirrored up again. The case itself almost has a brushed look to it. You can see that on the sides. It's not quite polished. So this is totally like a Thule watch in disguise. The back of the dial is great. A little bit scratched up, but not too bad. Looks like I need to clean the case. My apologies for that. It's crazy to think how old the Movado Museum design is. I always assumed that it was a product of the 80s, because it kind of looks like it. But this is actually a pretty old design. And the museums are some of the only pieces by Movado that I can stomach. Their other stuff is just kind of painful. Sorry, Movado, but they are. However, if you look at vintage Movado pieces, they're pretty impressive. Some of them don't look Movado-ish at all. They just look like brilliant vintage watches. So I keep my eyes open on those. So far I haven't seen anything that I need to pull the trigger on yet, but you never know. And I have the Elgin watch on. So let me take that off, and we'll see what this guy is like when you're wearing it. And here it is, the 36mm Movado Museum on my 7-inch wrist. Sadly, this strap is kind of in between, so it's a little bit looser than I would like it. However, I love this buckle so much that I just kind of deal with it. I haven't swapped out the buckle for something that would kind of micro adjust this so it fits better, but it's fine. Totally flat on the wrist. And that strap just looks great on it. It kind of brings out the stark blackness of this dial even more, I think. Yeah, you won't be telling precise time with this watch. It's interesting setting the time on it when you have to do that, but it's fine. I have swatches that are even more difficult to read than this thing, because not only do they not have markers, but the hands are dark and just blend right in with the dial. I have a skeletonized one with black hands, so good luck reading that one. But it's not too bad when you get used to it. I usually tell the time in estimates anyway, so not much difference here. Yeah, I actually like the museum. It still feels weird that that's the case. Such a cool little watch. So there you have it, my little Movado Museum watch. It's crazy how much I love this watch. I wear it way more than I thought I would. Crazy. Thanks for watching.